Hey everyone, it's Carla and welcome back to my channel. And in today's video, I'll be doing a little DIY where I'm going to transform my old outdated clothes into something trendy. This is super easy with minimal sewing required, but that being said, I'm going to be honest in saying that I pretty much just wing the entire thing, especially because I don't have a sewing machine with me, so my apologies in advance if this doesn't turn out perfect. Now with that being said, let's get on with turning this two-piece set into this soft girl Pinterest vibe trendy three-piece set. For this DIY, of course, I'll need my base material, a pair of scissors, some buttons, and of course a sewing kit. I'm starting with the top, which I will turn into a sort of cropped cardigan, and I'm just going to cut this into half from the center. I'll use the belt hoops as a marker because that's exactly where it would reach my waist, and I'll just cut through from one side to the other. Once that's done, we'll set aside the bottom half, while the other half will do further damage by cutting through the center upwards to make an opening. Obviously, this is where the buttons will go, but before I sew in the buttons in place, I'll trim off some fabric from the opening because I know that this top is a little loose on me and I want the cardigan to fit just right. So I'm trimming about 2 inches off of each side. Once that's done, I'm ready to sew in the buttons in place. I just estimated the distance of each button from each other, but I'd say they're about 1 inch apart. And when that's done, of course I'll poke holes on the other side corresponding each button. I'm just going to pin the top and bottom while I do that to make sure I'm making holes in the right place. So just one step left in finishing this off, and the last part is trimming off the arms because the length is just too long for my liking. So I'm cutting off about 4 inches off on both sides, just like that. Now we have a pretty little cardigan, and here is our final product. Okay, moving on to the bottom portion, we're turning this into a bodycon skirt. This is already a pretty good structure, and I'm just going to create a sort of skirt shape by folding on each side like that, if that makes sense. If you notice from the beginning, I flipped this inside out because I'll be sewing from the inside part. Once I achieve the shape that I wanted, I'm just going to pin the folds in place and sew along the pinned line. I also kind of tried this on just to have an estimate of how much fabric I need to get rid of from each side, and that's about 2 inches. I'll sew one side off camera because I don't have a sewing machine and I'm doing it by hand. And here's the half part done, and I'll do the same on the other side. Once that's done, I tried it on first before trimming off the excess fabric, just to make sure I won't need to redo the stitching in case it didn't fit. Luckily, the skirt did fit me, and so now I'm just gonna cut off the excess fabric on each side. The final product should look like this, but I know I haven't shown you how I did the belt part, so we'll get to that in a little bit, but for now we'll put this aside and work on the tube top. So for the tube top, I decided to make it out of these leggings. I like the elastic band around the waist, and this is ideally what's going to be the upper part of the tube top so that the tube top would stay in place. And it's pretty straightforward. I'm just gonna cut through horizontally above the crotch to make that tube top. I'm just placing it beside the cardigan just to get a good estimate of the measurement. Basically, I want the tube top just about the same length or height as my cardigan, so I'm just gonna measure it from the armpit down and just gonna cut through that. I didn't get it straight the first time, so I'm just gonna have to trim off the excess and make sure that the whole thing is even. And that's pretty much it. Okay, now going back to the skirt, remember the belt hoops on the original top? Well, it's still there, and I'm just going to transfer it to the skirt from where it was originally attached. So I'm just attaching it using a scissors, and after that I'm just going to sew them in place on both sides of the skirt. Once that's done, it should look something like this. The remaining part is the belt, and for that I'm just gonna cut off 2 strips of about 1 inch width from the leggings. Again, I'm just winging this by just following along the rib line and not really using any sort of marker whatsoever. And once I have those 2 strips, I'm attaching them on one end and sewing that in place. So we have this one long strip that is going to be a belt. So this makeshift belt, we're just gonna loop this around the skirt for some added appeal. Et voila, we now have the final products. Let me know if you like this no-brainer DIY by giving this video a thumbs up if you do, and if you're not yet subscribed, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell as well. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one.